Good morning and welcome everyone to the webinar, Implementing New APQP and Control Plan Using Electronic Workflows. So my name is 𝐸𝐚𝐿, and I'll be joined by Anthony John, who is also here with us to present this webinar. So let's spend the next hour probing and understanding, how this new APQP and control plan can be implemented easily and with digitalization. And of course, you'll also hear about AI a little bit later. So this is what we promised we would talk about, and let's get right to it here. Many of you repeat and come back to the Omnex webinars, but we always find, about a third of you are new. Just a couple of minutes about who we are. We are a global organization headquartered here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where I'm joining you from. We have offices worldwide, 16 offices, and we're over 700. Actually, I was given a 900-person count last, operating in 30 countries worldwide. What are we very proud of? We have helped write many of the automotive standards, but we're also in several ISO 9000, actually I want to say ISO committees, TC 176, TC 207, and I think ISO 45000 is 345. I could be wrong. And also very involved in also aerospace, the AAQG and the IAQG. So we have served on the committees. You can see some worldwide standards. Also something I think you would find appreciative. In fact, all the core tools should have been listed there. 3 of the writers of the core tools have worked for Omnex. The latest release is the one before the latest release, actually. Okay. All right. Here is our worldwide operations. We don't have offices in every city here, but we have consultants in more than the 16 offices that we have. We have to support large corporations like Magna, who are in just about everywhere, you can say automotive. And so because of that, we've had to have consultants in all different parts of the world. I hope I look like myself here in the picture. Sometimes I'm not sure anymore. And of course, every year you get older. Okay. All right, a little bit about me. I started working for General Motors many years ago. And, I'm over 40 years in the automotive industry. It is kind of crazy. I've spent a good part of my life, working with all the different tools I'm going to talk to you about. I'm very proud to have been the first person to identify the linkages between process flow, PFMEA, control plan, and work instructions. I think simultaneously, Greg Gruska, who's also with Omnex, did that for something called a DCP for Ford Motor Company. And really, I'll give Greg a lot of credit for the control plan as it is. He wrote a book called CP² before he helped write DCP. And that was a long time ago in the 1980s. Here's Anthony John. You can see very, very IT oriented, but also very automotive. Anthony, I forget, I know it's 20 plus years you have worked for Omnex. So I want to thank you for that. And he leads the product development of the suite that he's going to share. He's going to be the one who actually shows you the software. Okay, so let's get right to it. The title of the webinar is a new APQP and control plan using electronic workflows. By the way, there is Greg, I'll mention that, so let me not get ahead of myself. here is a summary of the changes to the APQP 3rd edition. So you can see here, there is, in the first chapter, 5 new topics. You recall capacity planning. Was it right before COVID? Capacity planning was a big deal in the automotive industries because many suppliers, how was it post-COVID, were caught short with much less capacity, and the OEMs really pushed this capacity planning along with new product development. And very importantly, this idea of leadership support. So you can think of this leadership support linked directly to this gated management. I have a whole slide on that. I will talk to you about that, okay? Then, of course, change management. Change management is very important. We have a whole module on change management with customized workflows and customized forms that can, easily fit anybody's, system. But we will not be showing that today, but just keep in mind we have it. Of course, APQP program metrics, very important. It's something we have taught in our training courses, but it was not there in the manual when it first came out, all right? And then a risk mitigation plan. So these are some of the new topics that you may have some of this already, but they're new topics as it comes into the APQP 3rd edition. I don't know if you all recall the characteristics matrix. Knew it, loved it, okay? It was actually more used with the process side of things. We had processes on the top and characteristics down the bottom. And it really helped you identify, process characteristics, which are important. You can say special process characteristics, like special characteristics, but coming from the process side. And I know, many of us forget to identify the process characteristics in our control plans. All right, then we get to chapters 2 and then 4 to 6, where it's all about the APQP 5 phases. Well, there's an APQP phase 0 that got added in. I forgot to mention that. It's in a getting started section of the manual, and it includes a sourcing and high-risk supplier evaluation. Anthony, are you going to be showing this checklist? I think you are, right?
Yes, Chad. I'm planning to show some of these checklists, not
Great.
all.
Great. Yeah. And you'll see the way our software is designed, the APQP phases, it's really new product development phases, can be customized because everybody's product development phases are different, okay? All right. So I wanted to say, you'll see the inputs and outputs of these phases and no notable changes in this chapter. Then in Appendix A, you see a quality planning checklist. And then you also see many different checklists for APQP coming from this new manual, updated manual. And then most importantly, there is a gated management, a new section. I'll talk to you about that shortly. And then several different new sections from APQP metrics that goes with the APQP program metrics in 116, chapter 1. And then the idea of OEE, as you all know, it goes with total productive maintenance. And then idea of traceability. Of course, because we are very involved with the electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, and things like ASPICE and functional safety, we also thought that traceability should be not just product traceability, it needs to talk about requirements traceability and backwards and forwards traceability, since similar to ASPICE. But that's not what that is, by the way. But it's a new requirement in the manual. All right. And it ends with this Appendix G, which is on sector-specific guidance for non-traditional manufacturing. All right. So we did a whole webinar just on the changes, where today's focus is software. What we did earlier is on the was about the latest updates It was chaired by Mr. Dave Watkins, moderated by him, but the presenters were Greg Gruska, Mary Rousey, and Mike Down. Mike Down was the leader of the Core Tools team for many, many, many years at AIAG. Greg and Mary were also, so Mary and Mike, if I'm not mistaken, have been involved in all the core tools, and Greg in about 3 of the core tools. Okay. So email us at info@omnex or wherever you signed up for this webinar, and we can send you a link to this webinar, okay? So let's continue here along with a summary. This is some of the bigger sections that changed. 6 defined gate reviews, 1 for each of the phases from phase 0 to phase 5. And it identifies a progression of deliverables required by anybody doing APQ, not just first and sub-tier, but the idea of anybody doing APQP needs to have these gate reviews between the phases before they progress. It's a formal assessment of the results and deliverables identified in each of the gates, all right? And we have to determine the results and status to each of the criteria and if it's acceptable or not. And specific instructions are described in the extensive Appendix A checklist. So if you already have checklists and you have these project reviews, turn them more into gate reviews and make sure you satisfy these requirements. We will show you how you can do this electronically in our software. There's an added emphasis on leadership, involvement of leadership, assessment of capability reviews, APQP program metrics, and so on, okay? With that, Anthony, why don't you go ahead and show the first part of the software that we had wanted to show. Folks, you need a lot more time, but let's show you some of the highlights I think you'll be very impressed with.
Right,
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. All right. Please let me know when you see my screen. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen now, Chad?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So again, thank you everyone for joining us today from different parts of the world. And thank you to our customers who are here today. So I've just logged in to the 𝐸WQMS Enterprise Quality Management Software. And what you see is that a landing page that allows you to access your day-to-day stuff, right? Any documents that you have access to is readily available. The projects and programs this program manager is handling is right here in front of me. The change request that's been submitted is all available. So what you want to see, whatever you have to do for today is right in front of you. You have access to additional visualizations and dashboards. So with the idea of digitalization, you are now able to analyze data, with your fingertips. All of them is just one click away. Okay. I'm just setting context before I present the changes, so you understand where all of this come from. You can also have access to your projects and programs. So for example, here's one of my project. If I want to look at a project, I can click open it and then go right to the project that I'm working on. Okay. So you can see that there are these 6 phases of APQP that Chad talked about, and these phases of APQP would include all the gate reviews, and each of the gate review you could identify deliverables that are needed to be complete. So for example, if I right click and go into my gate review info, you can see all the deliverables that part of that gate review is already summarized for you. It shows you what were the expected input documents, what were all the output documents, and you can also see reviewer feedback and comment right here. Okay. The whole idea of even this project and managing the timing and resources. And the template of this doesn't have to be completed for each project. The idea is that you would be able to have templates. In a template, you could include all your phases. You can configure this the way you want it. Right now, we are showing a template of six phases of APQP, starting from phase 0 to phase 5. But you can tailor this to your need. And at the same time, our software will also help you with other project templates. For example, a functional safety project template, or a software development project template, or a cybersecurity project template. All of them is available in one place. Okay. And in each of these templates, you could also set your document expectations upfront. And then every time you initiate a new project, software will be able to use this template, use all the documents, and also, provide a guideline estimate or timeline when you initiate a new project. I'll pause here, and Chad, maybe you can take control back for the next part of it. Presentation.
Absolutely, Anthony. Folks, take this opportunity to ask more questions. We just, talked about the tip of the iceberg here. Anthony, all these forms can all be digitalized, and maybe a little bit later, we'll talk about the advantages you get by digitalization, okay?
Yes.
So the next part of this is the idea of having actually not just all the forms, but all the different checklists in APQP, all electronic. Of course, we have the capability of editing it to be whatever you want in these checklists, because, going back to, it was very clear when we first launched IATF 16949 back in 1995. It was called QS 9000, and that's when we defined all the rules. I did the first worldwide witness audit for QS 9000. And we defined the core tools as shoulds. And at that time, they call it a recommendation, but you have to follow. So the idea is you have to follow these checklists. You don't have to follow it exactly. You're given leeway to customize it as you need. Okay. So what these checklists are provided to serve as a self-audit. This is how you know the good and the bad and the ugly of the different artifacts that you have which are in the gated reviews. All right. And they also suggest you can use this, not just the OEMs for the tier 1, but the tier 1 for your suppliers. Now we'll segue to also the control plan. Everything in bold, folks, have been added in. So you can see from error proofing to pass-through characteristics. We have seen that in other standards. The idea of rework and repair control plans, this is an expectation, if you didn't know that, from IATF 16949 itself. Process owners for APQP and control plan. And using software to develop and manage control plans. Okay, the idea not just to have electronic FMEAs, but to also have electronic control plans. I think you may have joined us on the CSRs for Ford and BMW, and I think there's one other large OEM that's asking for electronic FMEAs. And of course, I'm getting ahead of myself, but we are the very first electronic FMEA in the world. We came up with our Aqua Pro software in 1988. Let me wait. So continuing on, you can see here a new type of control plan called safe launch control plans. Before you go into production control plan, in the safe launch, either you will do 100% inspection of all characteristics or a set of selected characteristics which are at risk that you have identified before you go into your production control plan. And you can see here the reverse FMEA. We have a webinar on reverse FMEA that Mike Down did, in terms of, and we have a whole class on this, layered process audits. What do you do? How are control plans done in highly automated processes, and so on? And something very near and dear to me, the family and foundation FMEAs that I helped get that into the standards, the ISO TS 16949, many years ago. All right, so this is the next topic here, Anthony. We can talk about, I think you may be continuing on with the APQP and then segueing into the control plans.
Right. So I'll take controls and okay. So I was talking about, I'll take a second here to make sure you are able to see my screen. Okay, probably it's available now.
Yes,
all right.
Yes.
Thank you. So we talk about the idea of templates, right? Where you could actually have all your deliverable in one place and use that for any number of projects. Now, in each of these templates, you could configure all your checklist as well. So for example, you could see here, I go into, for example, sourcing as an example, and you can see that I have a digital checklist that's right in front of me. Okay, and the idea of this template here is that it's digitalized, so you're going to have data available to pull reports and dashboards and build business intelligence. Right? So not just that one of them. If you scroll down, you can see there are clip icons in many of them. So here's another example of a risk management template. So here's the checklist that's already available in a digital form. Okay. Now, to have these checklists, of course, we would imagine you already have the APQP control plan standard already purchased with you. So you'll be able to use these in the digital form. Okay. So now once you have this as a template, all you have to do is just convert this into a project, and you could see there is an option which says convert it to a project, and it will take all the deliverables, estimates, potential resources, and approvals that you have planned for each of these checklists into a project. Now let's see this from a project viewpoint. When you have your list of projects, here's the list of projects that I'm already working. Click open the project. Again, one of the things I want you to understand is the simplicity of how you can use the software, right? Once you have a project, and once you're inside a project or a program, you get to see everything that is going on with this project. For example, the same checklist that I just showed you and open, so you can click in on that clip icon and you could see all the deliverables that is needed for this project. So you can see that this was the template that was sent to the user, and the user is actually able to fill it and save it and publish it as a document that is read-only. Okay. Now, why is this needed? Because when you fill this checklist, live checklist, and you publish, you can route it for approval and then revision control it. Okay. You can define different rounds of approval. So for example, I'm going to say if I pick an approval route, I can see all the users who are going to be part of that approval process. So you can define approvals inside the system. You could have different rounds of approval in one approval phase, and the system will automatically drive these documents through that approval process. It'll notify the approvers, remind the approvers, and in case the approvers do not complete the approvals in time, there's also escalation mechanism in place. All these checklists that are published and approved are automatically revision controlled. By default, you are always going to see the latest version. Behind the scenes, there is a full-blown document control system, which is a module by itself to help you manage all your documents. We integrate with our document control system for revision control, change control, and distribution control. Now, I just showed you a couple of those checklists. There are more. In the interest of time, maybe I'll show you a little bit of the control plan that we talked about, right? So there are different control plans that Chad mentioned. One is in the phase 2 that you can see here. I have a prototype control plan. Now I'm going to just show you some of the published version. So here's the published version of the control plan, which is rev controlled, and you can see it's only read only. So here's the prototype control plan. You can see it on the title. And then I have a pre-launch control plan, which is part of my phase 3. So I could see a pre-launch control plan in the system. Okay. Now, these control plans are also digitalized. Okay, I'm showing you as a read-only format, and in a second, I'm going to show you a live control plan also. And then Chad will talk about some of the linkages of FMEA control plan and how we comply with the APQP control plan needs. Well, here's the safe launch and production control plan. So, for example, if I open a safe launch control plan, I can go into a live link of the software and then open the software. Okay, can you see I have a control plan that's already in place, and it is specific to that product, and you can see that control plan. Again, even not just your APQP deliverables are digitalized, on your checklist are digitalized, your gate reviews are digitalized, and also your process flows, FEMAs, control plans, DFMEAs are all digitalized. And you'll see more how the linkages documents and the family reuse, will benefit you as part of this presentation. Okay. And the last control plan, of course, is a production control plan that also is available in the system. Okay. I'll pause here and Chad, maybe transfer control back to you.
Thanks, Anthony. Folks, let me also pause, see what kind of questions have come to your mind in terms of what we can answer or show you, a little bit later. What did you want that you did not see in our presentation? Okay. Let me give you about a couple of seconds here to jot down some of your thoughts. We still have time to show you more software. Okay. Because we're showing it to you live, we can segue. Anthony, I think we may have time to show some AI in action if you're ready to show something like that also. Okay.
Sure. Maybe I'll just use a recorded video or something.
Sure. Absolutely. It'll make it easy for you. All right. I see a few questions here. Okay. And we'll answer it during the Q&A period. All right. So you can ask us, hey, do you link with Jira? Do you link with Polarian? These are all the new requirements because when you do AIGVDA, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So in this next section, what we'll do, let's talk about digitalization. And it's the topic of digitalization for APQP for us, actually, not just FMEAs, but also DFMEA, test plans, process flow, PFMEA, control plan. And, I just put this down. I think you should know we were the first in the market ever. We thought of this software and came out with it in 1988. And anybody else who's out there copied what we did. I mean, sometimes they even had us do a demo for them. And we, of course, just did the demo thinking there are people who just wanted to use our software. All right. So this is the big deal of what we did. And we did this very early. So design FMEA to DVPNR, a test plan, we did in the 1990s. But the 1980s, we came up with this linkage of process flow, PFMEA, meaning when one fills out, the other fills out, and then half of the control plan fills out. And then all of this shows up in a work instruction or inspection check sheet, okay? Today, of course, we take the work instruction and inspection check sheet electronically to the shop floor, including a mobile device. Your operator can use a mobile device, and you can Bluetooth it actually with your gauges, okay? So that software is called inspection control. And we came up with this architecture of what we wanted, actually in the 1999 or 1998 is when I laid out the overall architecture, what we wanted to do. And then we came up with the first enterprise quality software in 2002, was the first release of it, okay? But these linkages came in the 1980s, and the 1990s, design FMEA and DVPNR, and the linkage to characteristics we did in the 1990s. So this is something we have been doing for a very, very, very long time. And what else we did is we organized it by family of products or process family, and we came up with this idea of coming up with a best-in-class process. It's called process segments or a design segment. You can take a whole product and you can save it as a golden part, and then you can add it, your process or your function or requirement, which you want to reuse, into a library that you could reuse it. These are all innovations we had thought of and then we implemented over time. So you'll see here, I'm going to show this to you. So I'll just actually go there. This block diagram. So I was just thinking about this morning, how we automated the process flow. It was a big deal back in the 1980s and 1990s that you just have to enter in machine and automatically would draw the picture. Similarly, so we actually draw this block diagram from your bill of materials. So if you have an ERP, we can link to the ERP. We link to ERPs like SAP. And then you can draw this picture of the control plan, the process map. And then as you draw the arrows, you're creating interfaces. Interface functions can be turned on or off. If you turn them on, it populates your DFMEA. And it populates your interface matrix, and all of this populates your P diagram. I thought you would appreciate knowing that. And what else am I going here with this interface functions? So we will also create that in a requirement. So we have a whole requirements package, and it'll populate the requirements package. Of course, you could do it in any other third-party software, and we would also link to that software with our software. So there are multiple FMEA formats in the market today. One is, of course, the 4th edition form. We have the 𝐫𝐞𝐜𝐸A FMEA. Did you know, by the way, there's another FMEA from SAE. This SAE one looks more like the 4th edition, but it captures all the ideas of 𝐫𝐞𝐜𝐸A FMEA in it also. I think of it as something in between where the 𝐫𝐞𝐜𝐸A is and the 4th edition. Interestingly, I don't know if you saw this here, we came up with the first multi-point FMEA in the world. I mean, we are the leaders in this area, so you would expect this. I hope you don't think I'm bragging, but I am not trying to brag. It's just a fact. So, as we were doing, functional, you probably heard me say I do audits. So I got quite involved. I'm an ASPICE principal assessor. I also do functional safety audits. And I came back and asked our FMEA gurus, why is the FMEA and the DFMEA and the HARA all saying different things? And the bottom line was, with electronic products, you have more than single point faults. Our fourth edition FMEA and the 𝐸𝐈G-VDA FMEA right now only handles single point faults or one single cause. Whereas with electronics, about 20 to 30% of the failures are multi-point. And so sure enough, we designed the first multi-point FMEA. With that, the FMEA links to the whether you do it in 𝐸𝐈G-VDA or the multi-point FMEA, it links to the what am I trying to say? PFMEA, and the FTA is also automatically created. Something we think is pretty innovative, as innovative as Aqua Pro was in the 1980s. By the way, what does the market do? The market, it becomes popular in the market 40 years later. Can you imagine? Or 30 years later. So similarly, what we're doing today, we expect it to become popular maybe 10 years from now or 5 years from now, but we have it today, folks. Oops, sorry about that. Where else are we going? We're going, Anthony, did you have a chance to really show, maybe you can show a little bit more about the program metrics, okay? And the idea how we can do all the different metrics of APQP we already have, or can we create it? This happens to be the FMEA metrics. Maybe you can spend some time on that, Anthony?
Yeah, sure.
Time allows, because I think we have time. And then you can see here, what is our big push? If you want to be one of our beta users of our AI FMEA, email us. We'll have you test out several hundred AI rules in the Omnex OBOT. And of course, so the AI today is machine learning and deep learning. That's very different from the chat GPT, LLMs. Hey, Anthony, I am seeing people use a different term, like generative. They call it also generative AI, okay? So we did not want to get lost behind. We have 3 different LLM projects going on right now so that we can, we have to be the leader here. But so we have a AI and FMEA, and we also have an AI PPAP reviewer. In fact, there is so much AI coming out in the product. In a few weeks, we will be announcing our entire suite as an AI suite, okay? So 200 plus machine learning rules, and it does 2 things. One is it validates your FMEA. You can see here, it highlights and provides you feedback. Is this what you might be showing today, Anthony?
Yes, I'll show a video of that.
Yeah. Also, as the engineer is putting things in, it'll recommend to you what you should do. So 2 different ones. And AI always works on good FMEAs. That's the challenge. If our software works off bad FMEAs, we're going to give you bad recommendations. All right. So this is part of the challenge, how we are best have you use an FMEA that after that, your FMEAs can continually improve after that. Okay, so digitalization of APQP and FMEA with AI is the future. Anthony, why don't you do a last bit in terms of software? And let's see here. All right.
So I'll take control of the screen. So the couple of things that I wanted to just present. One is the AI capability in FMEA, and then we'll segue into some of the business intelligence reporting capability that's available with digitalization. I mean, why are we digitalizing all this? Because you want to make the decision making quicker, better, and be more informed about the decision making.
Yes.
On the recommendation system, here's an example, a recorded video of a FMEA, PFMEA recommendation. The way how the recommendation system works, just to set context for you, for the listeners here, is that it will work like, like an example is Netflix or Amazon. right? If you the way how I'll pause the video for a second. So if you look at how Netflix works or Amazon works, after you know watch a movie, Netflix would start giving you recommendation, right? It starts giving you a recommendation based on the star cast, the director of the movie, the genre of the movie. So it starts to understand you as an individual user what type of movies and TV shows you'd like, and starts giving you that recommendation. Okay? Now, within your own family, if you have different profiles, depending on the different user preferences, so Netflix will start giving you recommendation. A very similar idea, what we call it as context, is what is being provided by in this recommendation system. So depending on the product part family and the part that you're actually building, and of course, this being an FMEA, so as you start creating characteristics, you will see AI will start recommending a potential failure mode based on that characteristic. Okay. So I'm right now as a user picking the characteristics. Now I'll pause here to see that it's actually identified, a couple of those failure modes as my recommended failures. Now, where is this recommendation coming from? Okay, so a part of this AI implementation, Omnex team will train the AI algorithm or the bot. We call it in short the bot to understand your FMEAs, your data, and we will use your training data set, and then use a test data set to actually help understand the AI and start giving you recommendations. These recommendations would be specific to a product family, and it's going to be trained on your data. It'll be personalized to your product. Okay. Now, what also happens is that in the process of training this bot, the bot learns a lot of new stuff, right? This data is, you're not going to be polluting the data from external source, because even though we deploy this, on cloud or on-prem, you will still see the bot being very personalized to you and your product and your organization products that you're using. Okay, so you will see the bot continue to recommend failures, will continue to recommend effects and severity ratings, give you occurrence ratings, preventive and detective control ratings. So all this recommendation is available to the end user. We will see more about AI FMEA live in action probably in our upcoming webinar. So this is the recommendation system. We also have what's called as the um, um, validation system. I'll fast forward in the interest of time that there is a validation system that when you open and validate an FMEA. Now, if you notice here, I'm showing you an AAG PDA tabular view FMEA. We also have a 7-step. And then validation systems actually prompt to the user all the things that are incorrect in your FMEA. Okay, and it gives you, say for example, you missed some of the FIT information. You missed a detection action. You have a detection action, but you don't have a responsibility or a target date. Okay, and these are some of the simple business rules, but it can also use complex NLP based, natural language based rules as part of your validation system. So both recommendation and validation system would actually help your teams to build FMEAs. I mean, we are today in a world of hybrid working, right? You don't get to see your own team members face to face, and you meet them maybe once a week, right? How do you ensure your teams are collaborating and working on this FMEAs together? If you have new team members joining in, and you also have the millennial workforce that is joining in, how would you transfer this knowledge and handhold them in this in part of implementing your FMEAs? That's where AI comes into play as your coach, guide, and an assistant, helping you in the journey of developing FMEAs. Chad, anything you'd like to add before I talk about business intelligence capability?
No, other than, so you're seeing an FMEA, and I already told you about the AI PPAP reviewer. Last year, we worked on, there's something called ASPICE, you might know of a tool to evaluate a software project, 12 out of the 16 processes. This year, we're working on an AI project for functional safety. Um, Meanwhile, we are adding AI into auditing, problem solving, document management. So these are all the efforts we are involved in, along with creating a platform for customers who want to integrate, okay? So if you want to integrate your existing system with our system, or just do AI, we have an AI platform we can help you with to be able to do projects for you. We'd love to see how using your ideas where you can become a real leader in your area by using this for whatever area you excel in. With that, Anthony, yeah, we can maybe finish by showing the program metrics, okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
So before I go into showing the program metrics, what I wanted to also show you is that you could have all your projects in one place, and we saw that, right? In addition to that, there's powerful project management capability all built into the tool. Okay, so you can manage critical path, you can manage your resources, the levels of resources, what how is your project team utilized, budgets associated to it. You actually have a Kanban view, you have RASI metrics. So everything that you need to manage your overall project and program, it's all available in one place. Okay. Now, the whole idea of we digitalizing your program launch is that um, access to information, right? So if you are not using a digitalized platform, you're always searching for information. You're always calling a meeting. You're trying to talk to different people to understand what's going on in the project. With everything digitalized and status updated, you can click on the button and then see, get a quick summary of where is your project. Okay, what is the status of the project? What milestones have been completed, what percent they're completed, what are each of the deliverables, what percent each deliverables are done, what are the ones that are deadline violated, and so on. So any risks that are associated with the project, what are all the meetings that you're running, what actions came out of those meetings, are those intact, what issues can I potentially have? So everything that you need about this project is available with one click summary. Okay. So that's one of the powerful capability of digitalizing. The other thing you might have seen this is that even as you land on your landing page, you already have a lot of visualizations. I'm just going to show you some of them today, but you will be able to personalize this, create your own visualization in the software. For example, project metric. I could see all the projects that I'm working, what percent each of them completed, what are the risks associated to it. If I want to just look at specific tasks that needs to be completed, I can hover over them, pick them. I can filter even more by specific projects that I'm working, dates and deadlines. And to all this, you also have capability to see to the least level of a data, right? All of this data is something what you can track. What are your risks that are associated to it? You can visually see it. And we also talked about digitalizing FMEAs, right? So if you have FMEAs that you want to digitalize, there are out of the box digitalization reports available. These are all business intelligence report. You can see different reports. Um, Let's talk about, say, for example, you want to look at RPN like a Pareto, right? I'm using RPN, but it could be an AP value. You could be SO, SOD, whatever you want. I know some of you are transitioning from in the different stages of FMEA as well. So digitalization will allow you to make more informed decision. For example, I can look at my top three failures and then see what products that are getting impacted, what are my operations that have these problems, what characteristics I need to focus, what are my causes, and I can pick a specific cause and visually explore data. This is something what is impossible if you are unable to digitalize this. Okay, so everything that you put inside our software will be, you know, um, digitalized, so you can query, search, and also build visualizations. Now, one of the things that I want to finish this because our users, they like one of these capability the most, is that able to export all this visualization. Most of you would have done this, that like you build all these visualizations through whatever platform you use, mostly Excel, but even if it's other software, what you end up doing is taking screenshots, putting into a PowerPoint, and then circulating it, right? With the software, with our software, you'll be able to export them to PowerPoint and say, okay, I want to export just all the pages. Say okay, and the software will generate a PowerPoint for you, allowing you to view all these dashboards and visualization. So you can save time from some of those activities that you're doing today, just taking screenshots and presenting. You can see that the software just exported all of this visualization into a nice looking PowerPoint to the point where you actually have even analyzed it. Okay. So that's the power of digitalization. One, digitalizing your data. When once you have digitalized, your data is digitalized, you can then build your business intelligence on top of it. You can build your artificial intelligence on top of it, and you could be much ahead of your competition from product quality, meeting deadlines, and also be more effective from a cost and also price point of view. With that, Chad, I'll turn it back to you for summary.
Thank you, Anthony. And we have a handful of questions. And folks, if you have any more, please do put that in. So we are really finished with our webinar, and we're going to go into Q&A. I hope you have some excitement in terms of the idea of digitalization and FMEA. Well, maybe I'll take this as the first question that was asked. They're not clear what is digitalization, Anthony. I'll take a first stab at it, and then maybe you can also explain, okay?
Sure.
So digitalization, folks, it's used in many different ways. And so Omnex carefully says it is the idea of taking information and make it electronic, digital, all right? If it's digital, I can produce reports from it. If it's digital, I can apply AI to it, all right? So in fact, my secret idea is to give that I would like to do away with project reviews. Of course, you're going to do project reviews, but to be able to instantaneously do a project review for you, as you know, if everything is digital and I have AI to evaluate the outputs, I can give you a status update of your projects at any time you want. That's what we mean by digitalization. Every form you use will be digital. And, so just think about the power of it. It's available, in one place, and it's all electronic. Okay. That's what we mean by digitalization. Anthony?
Yeah, Chad, yes. And then to add to it, digitalization in modern context also means bringing in newer technologies to play. You already touched on it, so just to emphasize that, bringing in mobility, bringing in business intelligence, reporting, and AI, IoT, all of these are considered as digitalization trends. Okay.
So I'll take this question, folks. We're going to get to all of your questions. I think they're trying to say, is there AI for PPAP review? Anthony, do you want to take that, or do you want me to take that one on?
I can answer that question.
Please.
So yes, there is the PPAP reviewer product that we have has AI built into it. It has about 300 business rules. The PPAP reviewer performs like an auditor or a reviewer or an assessor, looking at your PPAP document, reading the PPAP document.
Oh, your supplier's PPAP document.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, correct. So you could use it in two ways. Either you can use it internally for you to review your PPAP, irrespective of what tool set you use. So you can review internally your PPAP before you submit to your supplier, to your customers, or make this as part of we have a supplier quality management platform. Make this part of your supplier quality management platform where your suppliers come in, they submit the PPAP, they can review it even before you spend the time and review it. Your suppliers can actually see the feedback and correct their PPAPs before submission. Okay, so there are different ways how you can implement PPAP. Yes, AI is part of is available in this PPAP reviewer. There are rules related to validation, both some machine learning rules and natural process NLP, natural language processing rules are also built into the tool.
Thank you, Anthony. One of our viewers are asking, can your software link to existing MES systems?
Yeah, Chad, if you don't mind, I can take that answer
Yes, please.
question.
Yes.
Yeah, we do integrate with MES. Say, for example, good integration with MES would be, from your control plan or work instruction, able to send all your check sheets, able to send your control plan information, your sample size, what is the frequency, sometimes even work instruction document that we can develop in our software could be made available to the MES system. That's one of the potential integration.
So what we do is we have about 10 or 12 formats for work instructions. And it's automatically populated from the FEMA and the control plan. Okay.
True.
And that can be passed on. Of course, you can add to it. And we do it by family of parts. You can standardize on your work instructions. Okay.
Right.
And
that integration does. Yeah.
Sorry, Anthony.
I was going to finish it saying the integration is not just documents, but you can also integrate as data. So if MES system is looking for a specific data point of a control method or a frequency and so on, it's also available as a data format that it can use.
Okay. We have another customer who is from, I think is interested in sort of precision tubes. So the software is agnostic of specific solutions, but of course, I remember a smaller customer, I've been doing this for a while here, and our software has been for a while, who used it actually for tubes. So we can definitely do that. From the drawing, we can pull the bubbles into the drawing, and we take that into for the PPAP, we take that into the gosh, suddenly I'm forgetting all the PPAP
characteristics table.
Characteristics. Yeah, all the, because in PPAP you have to check every characteristic and make sure it's right. So we do all of that, and he's with the IIT in India. And so we will touch base with them after that. Anthony, you can maybe pass it on to our office in India. Okay.
Sure.
All right. So let's see here. We have a couple more questions. So he says it should be related to management SQC standards. Okay, we can definitely do that. Any standard, actually, our suite will satisfy most, if not all, the shalls of a standard. Okay.
Jay, we have one
Yeah,
last question that
yeah,
maybe I'll
please.
take up.
Yeah,
The question
please.
is, I think they have a question whether the software is available both as cloud and on-prem. Yes, so the software is available. You can install it within your network, or if you would like to have that hosted on cloud, we both solutions are available. We work with esteemed cloud partners, so if you want to lower your infrastructure costs, we will be happy to host it on our cloud for you as well.
So Anthony, I just want to finish with this.
Yeah.
You actually saw actually maybe two of the modules of four different platforms we have. So a solution comes in new product development APQP platform, which you saw. You didn't see all of it, you saw a bit of it, okay? We have corrective action in there. We have gauges calibration, of course, change management. You also have a enterprise quality or enterprise integrated management system suite. We're going to rechristen the EVAV platform as an e-mobility platform, but as you heard from me, it satisfies requirements management, functional safety, ASPICE, and product cybersecurity. And again, just as the idea of how we integrated something called a process flow, PFMEA control plan, in the 1980s, it was all done with different functions. So somebody had to think of it and say, hey, these are all linked tools, and maybe a cross-functional team needs to work on it. Similarly, that is the idea of the EVAV platform. All right. And then, of course, a solution on the supplier quality management system. So as Anthony mentioned, maybe there are many different users here of our systems, and you're saying, oh, we're not doing this. Work with us, folks. We are very interested that everything becomes digital. You become one of our lead users for AI. And so with that, Anthony, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. We hope to do many more of these as time goes on. Thank you for joining.
Everyone. Bye now.
Bye-bye, everyone.